And welcome to a very special segment of the 2018 Alaska Innovation Summit. And this is the State Committee on Research opportunity to induct new members into the Hall of Fame. We're really pleased that this is an activity that happens here at the Innovation Summit. But before we get started with that, we have two very special guests that are going to give us a few opening remarks. The first is Governor Walker, our 11th and current governor of Alaska. He's only the second Alaskan-born governor of our state after our own Governor Egan. He was born in Fairbanks and raised in Delta Junction in Valdez. He was elected to serve the state of Alaska as governor in 2014, prior to which he had built a legal practice that focused on municipal oil and gas law. Thank you very much, Governor. Let's give a big round of applause for Governor Bill Walker.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be back here again. I think I missed a couple, but what a great event you put on every year here, the Innovation Summit. I think that's phenomenal. You know, my friend Bernie Carl. Anybody met Bernie Carl? If you're still thinking about it, you haven't met him. He refers to Alaskans as Imagineers, and I think he's right. We have to be Imagineers a bit to live where we are, and what we do. So something that I've done that rather innovative, I'd like to, as I'm going to various fundraisers around the state, I will offer a day shadowing the governor, either in Anchorage or in Juneau, and now for a junior high, not a lobbyist, but like a junior high student or a high school student, and then they auction that off. And at first I didn't think, who's going to want to hang out with me for a day? It's been pretty popular. So today, I'd like to introduce three young ladies whose father at the Alaska Harvest Farmland Trust auction, he bought this for his daughter. So Ashley Smith, you stand up, Caitlin, and Megan Smith. So, you know, they sat in today. We interviewed for filling House seat 38. They sit on those interviews. Afterwards, we looked to them and said, "Who do you think?" And I don't make all my decisions that way, but they participated in the discussion. They gave some really good points about each of the ones that we had interviewed. I've had someone shadow me when I'm interviewing for a judge, fill a district or superior court position, and again have that person participate in the discussion, ask questions, and it's really an enjoyable thing to do. So anyway, I'm really glad that you're here today. Today they had lunch at the People's House with U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski. And you never know what's going to happen on what day that you shadow me. Today was a pretty typical day, although we don't have lunch with Senator Murkowski every day, so that was certainly enjoyable. You know, speaking of innovation, I mean, I got this job through a little innovation. Lieutenant Governor Malott and I did a little innovative changes and created a new system of how to become governor and lieutenant governor, and by golly, it worked. And so we're fans of innovation as well. You know, I had spent some time with Helen, and I can't say her last name, University of Alaska, very smart. She's Meade, you know her, she is. That's who it is. And we've talked about innovation districts, and typically they're around a university. There certainly could be one here in Juneau with University of Alaska Southeast, or Fairbanks, or in Anchorage. But innovative district, it has tax advantages, it has research advantages and opportunities to sort of focus on specific issues. One of the things we talked about some time ago when we were running was having what's called the prize. Have a $1 million prize for various, finding out various things, and that was before oil dropped to $26, so we didn't do that $1 million prize program. But here we have in Alaska, we have heavy oil. We have very heavy oil. We should figure out. I'd love to be able to put out a $1 million prize to figure that out would be pretty small potatoes in comparison to the benefit would be. CO2. We re-inject more CO2 than anybody in the world when it comes out with the oil. And so there are things that are being looked at as far as how you can turn that CO2 into a positive product. And so rather than paying, you can't flare it, and you shouldn't, and we won't. But what do you do with that CO2? So there are so many things we can be doing in Alaska on innovation. That's why when I first heard about what Chris does on this Innovation Summit, I think it's a great way of launching various opportunities. So whether through an innovative district, I don't know if the media is here or not. I got in trouble last time I talked to this Juneau Chamber. There was a lot of media there apparently, but I found out the next day by reading the headline. But I think that on the permanent fund, I think we can get more out of the permanent fund if we had a slice of the permanent fund that went to innovative efforts in Alaska, as far as inventions and creating things. We have some very creative people. I met a young man who created a product when he came back in his father's plane. They went out and rescued somebody. And when they got in, they were just shivering. They said if they just had some way to start a fire or something, they would have been fine. This young man, he was 15 when I met him. He invented a little pocket knife size, something you put on your belt, and it does everything. It's amazing all this little contraption does. And now he's got a website. Now he's selling them. It's all because he saw a need in Alaska and he filled it. And so we have more opportunities on being in innovations in Alaska. We have financial wherewithal, and I think we ought to be putting a slice of some of our revenues and dividend into a program that accelerates and rewards innovative efforts in Alaska. How do we get the heavy oil? What more can we do with in seafood? The couple that here in Juneau that started making Kelp Salsa. How many have had Kelp Salsa? It's awesome. It's really good. It's really good. Last week we had the Alaskan Grown dinner at the house, and it's an amazing event. And everything there is Alaskan grown, from the beer, from Jeff and Marcy's to Mark's Copa ice cream, and everything in between is Alaskan grown. I mean, all the produce, all the beef, everything is Alaskan grown. And we had the head of Safeway was here, and he'd been here before, about a year ago, and he met with me, and we talked about things that they could be doing in their store. We talked about the flour being grown in Delta. Somebody's figured out how to make flour in Delta, and he got an order from Safeway, which was the biggest order they'd ever received combined since their company's been in business for the last 10 years. Now they have end caps of Alaskan flour in the Safeway stores. Now they're looking at doing it down south. So when he was here for the Alaskan Grown dinner, I asked the couple with the Kelp Salsa to come eat with him, and they brought their samples, and they sat there with we sat there with the chips and great salsa. He took a pack of it back to the headquarters to test there, to be able to put Alaskan products in their stores. So it's just right in front of us. I mean, these two young people were commercial fishermen. They go in and out every day, and they'd see all this kelp. So there must be something we can do with that stuff, and there is. And it's really good. It's got to be really healthy. I mean, surely kelp is healthy, and they do pickled kelp as well. So it's just endless what we can do. They sell it to the cruise ships. When the people come off the cruise ship, they got their little kiosk down there to sell the kelp salsa and whatnot. So it's just unlimited. It's really limited only by our imagination as far as the things that we can do in this state and things that are being done in this state. So I'm very excited about what you're doing, about what is done, the way you bring together the creativeness that's here in this room today. And I discovered that I didn't have my glasses on. I thought it said I was to speak for 35 minutes. It's 3 to 5 minutes, apparently, when I put my glasses on. So I'm not going to go to the 35-minute speech. I'll just give you the 3 to 5. But anyway, I really appreciate what you do. Congratulations to the inductees of the Innovative Hall of Fame. Thank you very much for what you've done. And thank you for having this every year, Chris. That this is really, really an exciting event. And it's innovative what you've done to do this. And one last thing. About 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago maybe, on a Friday, they said somebody wanted to come see me and didn't have an appointment, and I said, well, that's fine. And they said something about Valdez, and okay, that's all right. That's the password. You can get to talk about Valdez. So these three guys came in, and they were kind of bushy-haired, big beards, flannel shirts and a tie, and like I'd never been worn before, I didn't think. And one of them had a big long knife, which my security person pulled off of him as he went by, and apparently you can't carry a long knife into my office. And so I said, well, what do you guys do? They said, well, we're from Seattle. We have a tech company there, a marketing tech company, and have about 220 employees. And so we're looking at doing something in Alaska. We went to Valdez, bought some land out by Robe Lake, and they build these little cabins. And if you Google geeks in the woods, you'll find these people, because that's what they're doing. They're taking their people and putting these guys right here. Oh, geez. Well, see, our bushy haired and good. Hey, you shaved though. You shaved, whatnot. I was so impressed with what they. Thank you. I was so impressed with what you had to say and how you talked about Juneau. How you talked about, fast forward, Valdez wasn't the right place, but they did something in Valdez. That got them in the door. That was good. But what they're going to do in Juneau, and they talked about the quality of life in Juneau versus in Seattle. And I'm picking on Governor Inslee on Washington, but you're right. We do have a much better quality of life up here than in Seattle. And so I was very impressed by that. And listening to have somebody else, showing me a poll about how misunderstood Alaska is by so many people, and the fact that we are closer, Juneau is closer to Seattle than Los Angeles is to Seattle, and so you have to commute a long ways out of Seattle in order to have the quality of life you have by opening the door in Juneau. So that's what so impressed me with what you had to say. So thank you. I know you're looking at space here, you're looking at buying a building, leasing a building, doing something, whatever you're going to do. Thank you. But that's the next wave of opportunity, that wave of technology coming north. That's why we need the connectivity. That's why when I look at the Quintillion project, that's exciting because we're being plugged in. We need to get Alaska plugged in. 3D printing. We should be printing stuff, right, making stuff rather than shipping stuff in at the high cost. So anyway, I thank you that have you moved here now? No, not yet? Okay, all right. Well, you better do that. I'll add that to my story when you do. So anyway, thank you very much for an opportunity to say a few words, and thanks for what you do. It's really the creativeness that you do that's going to help. We need to continue to diversify our economy, and we will through your help every day. So thank you very much. God bless Alaska. Thank you.
That's awesome. Now, talk about, bringing me back down to earth, right? Exactly. Just when I thought, no. Thank you, Governor. Excellent. And Governor, I actually have known each other for a few years. Clearly, we need to spend more time together. So thank you for those wonderful remarks. And it's great that you guys got to hear the story directly, right, from the governor. It's now my pleasure to introduce Senator Lisa Murkowski. She's the first Alaska-born senator and only the sixth United States senator to serve the state. Senator Murkowski is a third-generation Alaskan born in Ketchikan and raised in towns across our state, Wrangell, Juneau, Fairbanks, and Anchorage. Since joining the United States Senate in 2002, Senator Murkowski has been a strong advocate for Alaska on the Arctic Caucus, energy, healthcare, education, military affairs, infrastructure development, and of course, and the all-important appropriations. So please join me in welcoming Senator Lisa Murkowski.
I was going to give him a little dig. Thanks, Chris, Brian, whatever your name is, but thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you. I am pleased to be able to say hello, but really the regret is that I haven't been able to spend the day because, like the governor, it's this type of innovation, the discussion that goes around about all the cool things that are happening in this state. And I don't know whether cool is the right word. I'd probably look to these young people here that are shadowing the governor today to make sure that my language is appropriate. But it's the fun stuff that goes on. It is the dynamic, evolutionary, really game-changing stuff that is happening. And it's happening in this state. And Governor, I love your enthusiasm. When you get enthusiastic, you talk really fast, like you're selling something. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be selling the ingenuity, the innovation, the pioneering that's going on here in this state, because people around the country and people around the world are looking at Alaska. They've always looked at us. Sometimes, we've been that distant, pioneering, cold place that they can just imagine, but they're looking at us differently nowadays. There's a lot of focus on the Arctic. My friend Larry down here at the UAF and all that's going on within the university to focus on the opportunities that we have up in the Arctic. But think about that space as a way to truly be pioneering and innovating in spaces that we haven't had an opportunity before. As I was walking in, I was talking with, I think his name is Ben Kelly. He's got Droneovators, or I don't know, it's the drone technology, and we're talking about how you move beyond line of sight. Where else in the country can you safely be doing the training and kind of the breakthrough that we're seeing outside of a place like Alaska? So when we think about our state as this landscape, as this venue for every pilot project out there, we should be excited. My world has a tendency to focus around energy and ways that we can reduce our energy costs, ways that we can reduce our emissions, ways that we can be cleaner, more efficient, just more pioneering in that sense. And I tell you, when you come from a state where you have some of the highest energy costs, when your cost to move things around is higher than anywhere else in the country, if you can make things pencil out here, they can pencil out just about anywhere else. And so we can be that place of exploration. And when we think about how Alaska is pioneering with microgrids and microgrid technology and the developments that are coming around, the Department of Energy just laid down a very significant grant to the community of Cordova, highlighting what they're doing in the microgrid space. When Puerto Rico was hit by the two terrible hurricanes that they faced last year, the world was looking at their energy system, their energy infrastructure, saying, how do you make it more resilient? Alaskans are raising their hand and saying, we're islanded too. We understand how microgrids can give you a level of resiliency and adaptability in the face of disaster. Let us be your experts. And people in Puerto Rico, people in the U.S. Virgin Islands are looking at us and learning from us. We are the go-to place when it comes to microgrids. We have more microgrids in application, in process here in the state of Alaska than we do anywhere else in the world. We're doing it here. And it doesn't necessarily make the news, because what we're doing is we're just finding ways to live a little bit less expensively, a little more efficiently, and just using our smarts. And sometimes our smarts mean taking some duct tape and a little bit of wire or whatever and figuring things out. You go out to some of the villages in the Southwest, Kaniganak. You go in, they have a small little microgrid, but you go into this house, it's not even the size of a small garage. And you walk in and it's like Costco racks. And stacked in the Costco racks are Chevy Volt batteries. And from the 3 wind turbines that they have, this is how they're basically providing for storage. And, they didn't have a lot of federal money, they didn't have a lot of state money, they didn't have a lot of tribal money, but they figured it out because their diesel costs were driving that community to a point where they were no longer going to be sustainable. So we're saying, let us be the pioneers. Look at what's going on here in Juneau with electric vehicles. We had a field hearing of the Energy Committee a couple weeks ago. I know I'm going beyond my 3 to 5 minutes. I too must have thought it was 35. But I'm at the Washington Auto Show. We had a field hearing there to focus on the technologies in vehicles and what is new and what's exciting. And it was so great to be able to talk to those dealers there and say, hey, we're really excited about what is going on in Juneau and how we get more electric vehicles into your little market here, because we hit a hiccup, talked with one of the dealers here, and got the right people connected to the right folks, and now we've got more coming in. And it's not just Juneau. Gus Davis, we've been trying to get the National Park Service tied into their small hydro there. Now we find out that we've got so many electric vehicles in Gus Davis that we're not sure that when we do this tie-in, that we've got enough energy, because we've got so much electricity use coming from these EVs. So our little islanded communities, you are like the best when it comes to a training ground, a proving ground. It's exciting. I wish I was doing what you're doing, because this is an area of such positivity, I don't know if that's a word, of such optimism and a positive direction for our state, a positive direction really for our country. And when you set the example through the innovation, the ingenuity, and just stretching your mind, stretching your brains every day, we should all be excited about that. So congratulations to you all. Thank you for your work. I apologize that I have talked too long, but I'm just getting in practice for my ledge speech tomorrow. So thanks for the opportunity to be with you today.
Thank you very much, Governor and Senator. They both have commitments, so they may not be able to stay with us the entire time. So with that, we'd like to turn it over to our formal ceremony. Dr. Larry Hinzman is the UAF Chancellor for Research and is the co-chair of the State Committee on Research. Larry.
Thank you very much, Ryan. And I will be brief, I promise. So I want to first start out by thanking the Juneau and the Juneau Economic Development Corporation for allowing us to host the annual Hall of Fame for our innovators. I think the optimism in this room is just palpable. I think we all agree and understand that we can't cut our way out of this economy. We really do need to grow and innovate. And the inspiring words from Governor Walker and Senator Murkowski really drive that home. So the SCoR is the statewide committee on research, and I'm really pleased and proud to be a co-chair with Lieutenant Governor Byron Malott. It's been a joy to work with him, and I think SCoR really understands and appreciates the need to honor and promote the concepts that go with innovation. And so this annual event is one way we try and do that. So one way we're really trying to push it forward. So our MC today is going to be Meade Treadwell. Meade Treadwell is one of the lead innovators in the state. I've been pleased and proud to know him for many years. He was a former lieutenant governor. He was also the former chair of the Arctic Research Commission, which really helped Alaska and the Arctic advance tremendously over the last few decades. So Meade, thank you very much.
Well, we have a perfectly good, in fact, a wonderful lieutenant governor who is co-chair of the State Committee on Research. And Byron, thank you very much for your service on that, as well as to the whole committee for continuing this exercise. Because I'm just going to tell you, we sat down a few years ago at a program that is created at the University of Alaska, basically because when it comes to research dollars per capita, we don't have the Harvard Medical School. We don't have the Stanford Linear Accelerator. We don't have these, New Mexico somehow figures out how to suck up a lot of research money, but we don't have that. And so there's a program, there's a program for the university that says, we're going to help you grow your capacity for research, but you got to go write a statewide research plan. And we said in that statewide research plan, let's make sure that we are doing research for the planet and we have absolute leadership in climate change research. Senator, I know that you rely on it and that the committees rely on it and the governments rely on it as part of negotiations. We've got tremendous research on fisheries. We have the Dean of the School of Fisheries here, but we have one of the most productive fisheries in the world because of the research that we do at the University of Alaska. But we also looked at what does research mean to helping to grow, develop, diversify your economy. And we realized that, there's nothing we do in Alaska, whether it's drilling a hole, digging a hole, cutting a tree, showing tourists melting ice, that is not a knowledge-based industry as our drivers. And that furthermore, that all the other things that we do for people here, whether it's health or education or communications, all depends on innovation. And we said to ourselves, Alaskans don't think of themselves as innovative, but we really are. And let's remember that scene from The Wizard of Oz where they gave the Cowardly Lion a medal for courage and said, now you got courage. And the fact is that we decided that we're going to try to select a subset of the great innovators in Alaska over a period of years, create the Innovation Hall of Fame, and help Alaskans understand that great innovation does start here. And some of the very cool things have started in time immemorial. This will be the first official recognition of an invention where we cannot name the inventor because it's been done time immemorial. But you figure what people have lived here in a country that's known for cold, dark, and distance, we've had to innovate every day. And so, Byron, I'd like to invite you up here with me as I read the citations for the recipients today. And if you'd like to say a word or two to get started, that's fine. But let me just say first, our first recipient is not here today, and her name is Dr. Kelly Drew. I got to know Kelly a little bit when I was lieutenant governor, but if you have a chance to go visit the hibernation lab at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, I recommend it. The little critters that they bring out of the freezer, take them out of hibernation in your hands, pretty amazing. But what we've learned about hibernation is going to change medicine worldwide. And Kelly discovered receptors that regulate the onset of hibernation, and she now builds on that knowledge to pursue a medical solution for human victims of stroke, cardiac arrest, and spinal cord injury. She's developing compositions and methods to induce these people into a hibernation-like state to ward off negative effects of the injury and minimize permanent damage until proper and complete medical service is available. We're particularly proud of Kelly because she did her undergraduate work at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, has actually done graduate work and postdoc work around the world, but as a pharmacologist, does a tremendous contribution to research as a chemist and a professor in chemistry, biochemistry at the Institute of Arctic Biology. So ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause for Dr. Kelly Drew. Our next recipient is Dr. Patricia Holloway. Now, Dr. Holloway, why don't you stand? Dr. Holloway was the first to recognize the commercial opportunities of the peony industry in Alaska. And her research and public education efforts were instrumental in helping peony growers throughout the state capitalize on Alaska's unique growing season. And now there are more than 100 members of the statewide Alaska Peony Growers Association. Now, I was remarried in July of 2016, and I tell you, I'm a beneficiary of your research. At least my bride thinks so, and thousands of other brides around the world think so. And it's pretty cool that you figured out that the growing season here actually adds to the expansion. It's kind of like, getting raspberries in January. I don't know where they come from, but you figured out how to give peonies a much larger place in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Patricia Holloway. And
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a great honor. I have to tell you, I never thought of myself as an innovator of anything. And so to be given this honor, it's like, oh my gosh, what's an innovator? Well, I sort of found out by the presentation that was earlier today. Franz gave all these great stories, and he was talking about these crazy connections with things. Okay, now here's a crazy connection. Fresh-cut peonies and Alaska. I have a good story, so if anybody wants to hear it, I'll tell you. Thank you so much for this honor.
Eric, would you like to stand with us? Our next recipient is Mr. Eric Swanson, who is a co-inventor of optical coherence tomography and has advanced the field through numerous theoretical, experimental, translational, and industrial contributions. Now, behind all that is something that sees better in your eye, sees better in your heart, sees better in your brain, and helps you fight cancer and other ailments. And it's a tremendous honor, I think, for Alaskans that a former Alaskan is an inventor here, but that's not all, folks. He's also developed novel fiber optical communication technology and has developed novel free space laser communication technology. If you're communicating with lasers between satellites, it means it's hard for the other guys to spy on what you're saying. Including fundamental contributions to one of the world's first intersatellite laser communication systems. Eric now lives in Massachusetts, but he's a former Alaskan and conducted some of the research here, and we're very proud to call you one of our own. And Eric Swanson, congratulations.
It's a tremendous honor to receive this award. I feel very humble, and because of the previous winners and inductees and the present, my colleagues here on stage. And I would like to thank the State Committee on Research for their selection, and I would like to thank all my mentors and teachers from over the years and that continue to today that have provided inspiration and guidance in my career. Thank you very much.
I'm particularly happy to announce this next award because as we were putting together the Hall of Fame, we said to ourselves, you know, the blanket toss came before the trampoline. Sun goggles, snow goggles, came before sunglasses. In fact, it's pretty true that Alaska natives invented sunglasses just about the time that Chinese judges started using very thin pieces of jade to show that justice was blind. But I think we had it for the purpose that it's used for today. Fish traps, an amazing mechanical invention that has fed people for generations. And so we've decided at the State Committee on Research, and I'd like to recognize Brian Holst and John Bittner. John, are you here today? John was here earlier. The three of us were on the selection committee this year, and John was our chair, and thank you for all of you for all your work. We're honored that we could include an Alaska invention in this, and we think it's totally appropriate that the Sea Alaska Heritage Center accept the award, and that we also have accepting the award two individuals, Thomas George and Thomas Barlow, a grandpa and a grandson, who are practicing continuing this innovation in this art. It's the traditional wood Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian halibut hook, a sophisticated and innovative piece of technology unlike any other fish hook. Many lines of evidence indicate that the traditional two-piece wooden hook, or naksaw, was used by the Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian peoples for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. Many of those hooks are also stunning works of functional art and expressions of cultural heritage. And I've really been delighted at the State Library and Museum across the way to see some of the collections of these hooks over the years. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite up Mr. Smythe, Mr. George, Mr. Barlow to receive this award.
Alaska Heritage Institute would like to thank the State Committee on Research and the Juneau Economic Development Council for recognizing this unique and very useful and efficient piece of technology that's been around for maybe a few thousand years. We don't really know. And accepting the award on behalf of the Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian people of Alaska are two practitioners of this. We have grandfather Tom George, who has been very generous in passing on his knowledge not only to his family, to his grandson here, but to many people in the community and to us to be here to accept the award on behalf of the Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian people.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's truly an honor. I've been trying to get help to keep this part of our heritage alive for years or decades, and I got a good story. I promise it'll be shorter than Governor Walker's. So, but it was back in the late 70s, early 80s. I invited retired Sergeant Wallstad. Now, back then, he was a field officer in wildlife protection. But I invited him along to a certain location to seize my fishing gear and write me a citation. Well, when we got to that location, there he was, drifting right where I wanted to set, exactly where I told him I'd be. And we deployed one set of hooks, and while we're tying up a couple more hooks, he swings around, has his shore hook out the boat, and he's trying to hook it, and my buoys go underwater. And we looked at it, whoa, I think we just got a fish on, and we were laughing at him. He thought we were tugging on the line. We weren't. We were still baiting up a couple more hooks, and popped up like 50 feet farther down away, so he swung around, and we're watching him. Again, it goes underwater, so we're just rolling around the bottom of the boat laughing at him, and I told my partner, I says, come on, it's going that direction. It shallows up about 100, 150 yards down there. We'll go there and wait for it. So we're drifting around. We never did deploy another set of hooks, so we're just waiting for this to pop back up. And sure enough, 20 feet away, it popped up. And we grabbed a hold of it, and the battle was on. Well, he just drifted beside us, watching us, and we rolled in two big halibut, both about 175, 180 pounds, and we were done fishing. We had more than enough to eat. We fed half of the town with the fish we got. But he pulls in beside us, and he goes, even though you're breaking the law, he said it was a really great honor to see, or maybe just even a privilege to see that particular type of fishing actually done. He said he thought they were just for wall hanging. He says, you go ahead and fish them any way you want, Tommy. He says, I'm not going to bother you. I said, come on, write the citation. And my partner kicked me, knock it off. But we never did deploy another hook, and we had enough with just the one set. But I've been trying to get help to keep this part of our heritage alive. I even went to Representative Albert Kukash numerous times, and I got the brush off. Needless to say, he doesn't have my vote on the next election, but we been working with Sea Alaska, and it's been a lot of fun. And we've got a lot of information documented, right from the wood grains to carving the hooks to getting baiting them, tying rocks, the buoy lines, buoys, everything. So the people, they were telling me that they're gonna burn a DVD for K through 12 to distribute to the schools. That I got to see. But my main goal, I've always told them, is I would like to see this part of our heritage kept alive. And in order to do that, I think our indigenous people need to be able to go out and fish these hooks without the need of a license, permit, or IFQ, so that that part of our heritage does not die. And when Wallstad was out there, I didn't have a license. Yeah, I was ready for a fight. But he didn't want it. But again, thanks a lot. It's truly an honor.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony, but before I do that, I've got a homework assignment for you. We're going to do this again next year. We will have a notice go out, but Alaska is full of innovators who are doing amazing things. And the impacts of those amazing things are not limited to the borders of the state, the country, or even, as we've seen from Eric's work, the planet. And I know there's people out here trying to commercialize inventions, make new processes for energy work. I see you, Bill. There is innovation, and let's use this Hall of Fame to grow more. If Keegan Randall can get a gold medal in her 5th Olympics, so can any of you. Thank you very much, and ladies and gentlemen, have a great day.